Super Mario Bros. Has one of the broadest player bases out there. The game's been around for nearly 40 years. But despite that, there are still things in this game that have never been done before. There are so many wild possibilities in this game, just waiting for someone to pull them off. Previously, I made a video showing 10 things you probably didn't know about Super Mario Bros. These were anything from graphical mistakes to really obscure and bizarre bugs. In today's video, we're gonna do something similar, but take it way farther this time. This might be the craziest glitch compilation we've seen for this game. Along the way, I'll explain the how and the why most of this stuff happens, and to cap it all off, I'll show you something I know you've never seen before. I asked around to the foremost experts of this game, and none of them knew about it. But after today, you will know about it. And more. So stick around, things are gonna get weird. Things are gonna get crazy, and we're gonna go where no player has ever gone before. Before we dive into all the glitches, I need to talk about this video's sponsor. Taking sponsors allows me to keep doing this, and frankly, these videos wouldn't exist without them. That being said, this video is sponsored by Old School RuneScape. Old School RuneScape is a classic and hugely popular MMORPG, and they're always breathing new life into it. These days, they have seasonal events called Leagues, which last for 8 weeks and completely change the game to make it more exciting and interesting. Starting right now, it's time for League 5, Raging Echoes. It'll run until mid-January, and this event will be a fun way to experience the game for both returning and brand new players. They've massively boosted the amount of XP and loot you get, and added relic power-ups that basically make you super powerful so you can plow through the game. There will be community leaderboards where you can compete for high scores and see how you stack up against other players. Or even if you want a more chill experience, this is a great game to have going in the background or on a second monitor while you're doing other stuff too. If you're interested in trying it out, you'll want to sign up this week since there's a special membership package with a discounted rate. It's available from now until December 3rd. To learn more about League 5, download the game, and access the special membership package, click the link in the description. Alright, let's do this thing. The glitches I'll cover in this video fit into 5 categories. Each one will have some really crazy stuff, and at the end, I'll reveal the big grand finale. Here we go, starting with platform glitches. The moving platforms in this game are weird. There are so many glitches you can do with them. You can really easily clip through the floor. You can screen wrap from the top of the screen to the bottom. You can screen wrap from the bottom of the screen to the top in 2 different ways actually. One way is with these platforms, which are called balance platforms, but this way is situational and pretty precise. The other way is with these elevator platforms, although this one only works in the sequel, Mario 2: The Lost Levels. For some reason, they changed them in this game, so you just screen wrap every time you ride one to the bottom. Really weird.
Oh, what in the world? Oh! What is going on?
Alright, but that stuff is tame compared to the other things you can do with these balance platforms. Watch this. Shoutouts to Wolf Attorney who made the gameplay you just watched. She's a knowledgeable member of the community who helped me out a lot with this video. But yeah, what is going on? Mario's jumping midair, he's going through stuff, some of them aren't working properly. Let's start with the midair shenanigans. These platforms unload after they fall off screen. Makes sense, but they actually keep falling for a little while before they unload. They wrap up to the top of the screen and are invisible now, but you can interact with them. You can run on them, jump off of them, have them slam into your head as you try to jump somewhere. Lots of good fun to be had with this. But what about the other things we saw in those clips? Well, a lot of the glitchy behavior here is due to the fact that these 2 objects are tied together. When one of them goes down, the other one needs to go up. So the game has to keep track of which platforms are paired together and make sure each one is affected properly. This system can be abused though and lead to all sorts of glitches. You can fall through one of them because the other one isn't loaded properly. They can fail to drop down because the other one isn't loaded properly. And what if the game is wrong about which platforms are paired together? Like here, this platform is going down and it's making this platform go up. Or at least try to go up. It can't really go higher than that. Let me now introduce you to the most fun thing we can do with these platforms. Something I like to call inheritance. When one object goes off screen, its slot in memory is freed up, and something else can now load into that slot. In the case of balance platforms, you've got two slots which are tied together, right? When the first of the two platforms goes off screen, its slot gets cleared, and something else is free to load in there now. Which means this platform is now tied to whatever loads into that slot. That of course means it could get tangled up with a different platform and start moving the wrong one, sure. But also, it can get tied to something that's not a platform. Here, let me just go ahead and show you an example. That's right, the famous glitch in 6.3 with a bullet bill. This is actually a very well-known glitch, but most people don't know why this happens. Why does the bullet bill freeze? Why does this line start appearing in the sky? Well, it's because the bullet bill has become a balance platform. And what do balance platforms do? They draw lines as they go down. If you have any doubts left about what's going on here, watch this. We can unload the first of these two balance platforms while still just barely keeping the second one within reach. It's most of the way off screen, so it turns invisible, but we can still stand on it. Now, check this out. Yeah, as you can see, the bullet is definitely paired up with the platform. This is a lot of fun to play around with. Hey, what else do balance platforms do besides draw lines? They're also programmed to erase the lines when they move upwards. We can have some fun with that. Armed with the ability to both draw and erase things, I decided to make you guys some pretty pictures. Wolf even managed a smiley face. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that segment. But we're not done yet. We only messed around with platforms and bullet bills. There's plenty more objects in this game. And actually, we didn't even do this with other types of platforms. In 3.3, we can do this glitch with a sideways moving platform, and draw some more contemporary art. This one's really fun because it changes directions whenever you make the balance platform go down, and you can loop it around. It's actually crazy to sit and watch the game just get redrawn like this, and it's all happening completely in the original game. Now, if we want to fully push the boundaries with this glitch, we're gonna have to go outside of the original game. Here it is happening to me out of the blue with a Goomba in a ROM hack.
What?
And here's some instances of it with Koopas in Mario 2: The Lost Levels. Those last two sequences were once again sent to me by Wolf. In the past, she spent a lot of time messing around with this glitch after first encountering it by accident. And since then, she decided she would go and try it on basically everything in the game. Let me show you some of the best results. Here it is on a Koopa in 4.3. And here it is on a Piranha Plant. This one's really funny looking. Here it is with a Hammer Brother, which, I don't know, this one is downright bizarre. If you do this glitch with a blooper, it flies in a straight line like a zombie or something. And let's not forget, you can move the objects around by moving the balance platform, right? Well, that can really throw some enemies out of whack. For example, this Koopa has become a fourth dimensional being. This Piranha Plant seems very confused about its purpose in life. And if you try to do this with a blooper, it goes crazy. You can even do this with the star flag that comes out at the end of levels. On stages with big castles at the end, the star flag is still there, but it's covered up by the castle. We can finally see it for real though with this glitch, by displacing it way up into the sky. Alright, that was a lot of fun, and I'm sure there's even more you can do with these platform glitches. But that wraps up that section. Now we're gonna move on to the next category, despawn glitches. We'll start with another well-known one, but with added details you may not know. A lot of people have seen this glitch, where you get stuck on an invisible spring. You might just assume this is simply what happens whenever you despawn a spring, but it's a little more complicated than that. You actually can't fully despawn a spring. You can see the spring was there, and then it just disappeared as we got closer. This actually happens because of the flag on the flagpole loading in. There's a special object slot that only certain objects are allowed to use. Power-ups use it, the flag uses it, and springs sometimes use it, if there's no room anywhere else. If you fill up all the other slots, the spring will have nowhere else to go and it'll use the special slot. But as you approach the flag, it needs somewhere to go. So it overwrites the spring and yeah. Just to show this process in action further, here's me despawning the spring using a power-up instead of the flagpole. And here's the power-up being overwritten by the spring loading into that slot. Okay, that's one famous despawn explained. Let's get into some more obscure stuff. If you watch my videos, you know you can despawn all sorts of things in this game. Like piranha plants despawn all the time, you can despawn the flag, and even Bowser can despawn. But did you know you can despawn fireworks? Shoutouts to this channel called Pullovermania. They have a ton of videos showing crazy setups and glitches in this game. A lot of this stuff is nothing short of brilliant, but that's no surprise because this is the same person that discovered the infamous wrong warp in 7.1 of SMB3. Anyway, they managed to get 5 enemies stuck on screen at the end of the level. Now the fireworks can't go off because there's no slots available for the fireworks to load into, and the game just gets stuck forever. Alright, we can despawn Bowser, we can despawn fireworks. What's the next step? How does this get even crazier? Would you believe me if I told you that you can despawn pipe entrances? Well, you can. Sort of. You can prevent the game from updating where pipes and vines are supposed to send you, and have them send you to the wrong place. There's 2 ways that this works. The first one has to do with how objects are loaded in this game. All of the objects in each stage are in a list and get loaded in order. So in 1.2, for example, the game loads these platforms, this Koopa, these platforms, and then an invisible object called a room change object. This updates where the next pipe or vine will take you. The first method to prevent it from updating is to despawn the object in the list that comes just before this room change object, and make sure all 5 of the main object slots stay full. The game will constantly be trying to find a place to load the previous entity, and since there's nowhere for it to go, the game is never able to move on to the next object in the list and process the room change object. So with this example in 1.2, you can see the pipe at the end didn't get updated, and I was sent to the room that you'd normally get to with this other pipe. Similar to the clip we saw earlier, I did this by glitching Koopas into the floor. You'll see this technique a lot in this video, so I figured I should explain it. Basically, if you stomp a Koopa in the air, it'll flip over and fall down. But if you stomp it at ground level, or lower, then it'll stay put. Stomping a Koopa after it falls into a pit will let it float in the air, and also walk through walls once it wakes up. You can bring them with you for the rest of the level, and this is really useful for filling up enemy slots. Anyway, I also managed to despawn a different object here, which unlocks the screen and lets you run over the top of the warp zone. With it gone, the screen stays locked. It's kind of funny to see, and also weird to see the game behave so differently from normal. The other way to do this entrance pointer glitch is to simply fill up every slot, including the special 6th slot we talked about earlier, the one that power-ups and springs and stuff load into. I'm about to show you a bunch of examples of this glitch, and yeah, sometimes we need to use this method, which means keeping 5 enemies and a power-up on screen. I first saw this glitch from Happy Lee posting about it in 4.2. He managed to break this pipe by getting these 3 Goombas to follow him to the right. Before working on this video, that was the only instance of this glitch I'm aware of that someone had done before. But while working on this video, Wolf and I tried to see everywhere we could get it to happen. I hope you enjoy, because we managed to pull it off in 1.2, as mentioned earlier, the end of 4.2, (5.1), 8.2, which is really complicated, and then a bunch more places in the lost levels. You can do it in 1.1, and Wolf even made it happen in the middle of one of the challenges of Nintendo World Championships on the Switch. I also got it in 2-2, 3-1, this one was tough to get all the Koopas in the ground, and I needed a bullet bill. Wolf also managed it in 4-1, and this one made a vine lead to an underwater area, which we learned is actually a no-go. The game just locks up forever. You can see based on these bubbles though that Mario's definitely down there somewhere. This happens because all inputs get cancelled when you're near the bottom of the screen in water sections, presumably so you can't swim back out of the pit after falling into it. But this breaks the vine sequence because Mario's movement is disabled and he can't climb up. Sad. Don't worry though, because the next one in 5-1 also involves a vine, and this one works properly. This one was pretty crazy, because you need to bring 4 enemies with you, which means 3 Buzzy Beetles all in a row in the very first pit, and a Koopa shortly after. You have to wait for them to slowly walk through the entire stage, and by the end there's barely enough time to spare before the clock ticks down to 0. I also managed to do this glitch in 8-1, and Luigi's jump height came in clutch for this one. Wolf got the glitch in 8-2. 8-3 almost worked. There's plenty of enemies and even multiple power-ups you can get on screen, but the vine just doesn't grow all the way. The previous vines have been near the top of the screen and you could climb up just fine, but vines that are lower on the screen actually need to grow twice as tall to let Mario climb all the way up. The game actually needs space to spawn 2 vines to make that happen, and we kinda hogged all the space trying this glitch, so short vine it is. I'm not sure if anyone's ever gotten a short vine on screen like this before though, so that might be a new glitch in itself. Either way, I made sure to have some fun with it while I was here. Alright, just a couple more to show you. You can do this glitch near the start of A1 and get a vine to grow at the beginning of the level. It ends up being hidden behind the castle. Finally, here's the last one I have to show you. This one is in the last level of the game, in the last room in the game, with the last pipe in the game. Here's the grand finale of entrance pointer glitches. It's so easy. All you have to do is just make the mushroom come out and then go in the pipe. It's actually hilarious. You know this one has definitely happened to some casual player out there before. Alright, I hope you enjoyed watching all the ways we found to glitch out pipe and vine entrances. A couple things before we move on to the next category. First, if you're enjoying the video, consider subscribing. It really helps. I wouldn't be able to do this without you watching, and if you enjoy the videos, then subscribing will help me keep making them. And second, I didn't know where to put this next glitch. It's less of a despawn and more of a respawn glitch. Fireballs can respawn when you get firepower back after losing it. If you take damage while a fireball is exploding, it'll finish exploding after you get another fire flower. And if you take damage while fireballs are on screen, they'll stay frozen where they were. If you can manage to regain firepower without scrolling them off screen, then they'll reappear. This is tough to do though. Pretty much the only place for it is in 1-2 of the Lost Levels. I did hack in some power-ups near Bowser to show off a cool example of this though. Alright, that's it for the despawn category of glitches. Next up are death glitches. There are several weird glitches you can do which involve dying. On the All-Stars version, you can actually die after you've beaten the game. The hitboxes from Bowser's hammers will linger on screen after you beat him, and if you get one perfectly on top of Mario, there's a chance it'll kill him right as he's about to talk to Peach. I say there's a chance because it doesn't happen every time. The hammers can only hit you every other frame, and sometimes this mushroom seems to drop later, and Mario just doesn't take damage when that happens. The chances of this happening to someone by accident are so extremely low, and yet we learned about this glitch because that's exactly what happened to Twirlin' Curtis. While recording for this video, I also discovered a new glitch. This random upside down tile of part of Mario's face kept appearing. No idea why. Alright, this next glitch is one of my favorites. It's so funny looking. See, if you die from running out of time, everything on screen freezes. But the way this works is they set a timer of about 4 seconds, and everything remains frozen as long as the timer is counting down. Normally, Mario would always die and the level would reload before the timer has expired. But if you die while high up on the screen, Mario will take a long time to fall down, which allows the timer to expire, and you can see things start to move again for a brief period before the screen transitions. At this point, certain things like this moving platform become tangible again, and Mario can interact with them. Yep, Mario is now stuck on this platform. Forever. The only real way to get high enough for this is with these green springs which shoot you way up into the air. But yeah, we can do this in a few places to get some hilarious results. The horizontal platforms are fun because they keep moving Mario back and forth. All of the vertical platforms just have Mario stick in the air and he doesn't fall down past that. The craziest thing I could think of to do with this was to have a bullet bill act like a balance platform and have Mario land on it after he's died. Wolf managed to task an example of this. I have to admit the result is a little underwhelming, but it's still really funny to see. The best example of this glitch, though, is doing it on a level with wind. The wind will keep pushing Mario, and he'll slowly float through the air. He can't finish the stage or anything, he would go right through the flagpole. But one of the very few objects he can interact with are fire bars. He dies a second time. I think this whole sequence is really funny. Speaking of dying twice, you can die twice by hitting a hammer after falling in a pit. After Mario falls in a pit, he'll turn invisible, but his hitbox will actually keep wrapping around and falling through the screen repeatedly. Hammers are, I think, the only thing you can hit at this point. But yeah, if Mario's hitbox collides with one, you can hear the damage sound after he dies, or another death sound as he dies again. Alright, the last death glitch I'll talk about is dying after grabbing the flagpole. This can be done in a few different ways, but a common one is by getting all the way to the right side of the screen, and then he wraps from the right side of the screen to the left when he tries to move to the other side of the flagpole. He can fall in a pit on several stages this way, and now... the game is sort of broken. It'll continue like this for several minutes, until Mario falls 256 vertical screens and lands back in the original one. This is SMB1's version of going to a parallel universe. If you go far enough past the flagpole with this glitch, you can start to see weird graphics in the sky. Which leads us to the next category we'll talk about, graphical glitches. This garbled mess behind the flagpole is the first graphical glitch we'll look at. Another way you can get this far past the flagpole is by breaking this brick in the castle. This solid brick is here to stop Mario from going any farther after beating a stage, and running into it is also what triggers the timer to count down and the game to transition to the next stage. If you clip in the floor and break this brick, there's nothing to stop Mario, and nothing to trigger the timer countdown, so he'll keep walking forever. The reason the graphics get messed up has to do with how the repeating backgrounds are generated. Levels are made up of screens called pages. You start on page 0, and once you've traveled the distance of one screen, you'll be on page 1, then page 2, and you get the idea. If we take a look, we can notice that the background elements, things like bushes, clouds, and so on, repeat every 3 pages. In 1-1, for example, we'll see 2 clouds, 1 cloud, 1 small cloud. And again, 2 clouds, 1 cloud, 1 small cloud. And this pattern repeats forever. Or at least, it's supposed to repeat forever. The way the game figures out which background elements it should generate next is by taking the current page number and subtracting 3 over and over until it gets a number that's less than 3. At that point, it's always left with 0, 1, or 2, and uses that number to look up the first, second, or third background in the series. The problem arises when we make the page number way bigger than it's supposed to get. Levels in this game are usually around like 20 pages long, and there's no issues. But with our glitch to walk forever past the flagpole, the page number keeps going up, and eventually it overflows and becomes a negative number. When the game subtracts 3 from these negative numbers and the result is something like negative 128, well, that's less than 3, so it must be a valid input. Now it's using all sorts of numbers which are not 0, 1, or 2 to look up which background elements to load, and yeah, this is the result. Moving on to the next graphical glitch, this one will be on the All-Stars version. If you beat the game while Mario is really far to the right side of the screen, then the graphics for the ending sequence fail to load properly. The room is all messed up, and Peach, she has a bad hair day. Here's a full technical explanation by Simplistic if you want to pause to read it. Alright, next up is the most powerful of all graphical glitches, VRAM buffer overflow. That's a technical name for what happens here, but I'll explain it for you simply. This game has some space reserved in memory where it will essentially hold on to tasks it needs to perform until it can process them. These are tasks specifically related to updating graphics on screen. So when you do something like hit a block, it needs to make that block bump upwards. When you hit a coin block, it needs to make the block bump upwards, make a coin pop out, update your coin count, and update your score to award you 200 points for collecting the coin. If that coin was on top of a brick block, the game also needs to make brick chunks fly out and give you 50 points for breaking the block. You can see the space is filling up quickly. If there are even more things happening at the same time, like maybe the coin flashing at the top of the screen needs to change colors, the timer in the corner needs to tick down, you're stomping or fireballing an enemy, doing all of this stuff together is too much at once. The VRAM buffer can run out of room to hold all of these visual updates, and data can spill out the back end of it, which means it gets written to places that it shouldn't, and sometimes really messes up how things are running. It's possible to crash the game this way, which people have managed to speedrun crashing the game in 16 seconds. Most of the time, this glitch manifests itself as a bunch of numbers appearing in the sky, but the 3 most fun examples I've seen of this are this video by Happily, where he made every enemy turn into Bowser sprites. This video by 3Creepio, where Mario got totally garbled, and Peach had a bad hair day again. And this video by Pullover Mania, which is just absolutely crazy. Almost all of the graphics broke. If you want a full technical breakdown of how these VRAM buffer overflow glitches work, check out this write-up by Negative7, which I'll link in the description. Alright everybody, we're finally here. It's time for the grand finale. What I'll show you next is an extremely unknown secret hidden in this game. I think you could count on one hand the number of people who knew about it before this video. This will be, as far as I know, the first footage of this on YouTube. Here we go. We're going to combine several things we've talked about already. Mario's gonna be in the ground, he's gonna break the brick that's part of the castle, and the flag on the flagpole has been despawned. We've been over that stuff already. The secret grand finale is none of those things, so don't focus on that. Alright, watch carefully. Did you see it? Here, I'll play it again. How about that time? Alright, this time I'll make it easy for you. There, do you see it? That. What is that? The brick chunks turned into this thing. What are these things? They're actually what the platforms in the Coin Heaven areas are made out of. Why did the brick chunks change into this? And how is this worthy of the hyped up grand finale? Okay, give me some time to explain, and hopefully you'll agree with me that this is super cool. We can't know for sure, but here's the running theory for this. It could be a sort of beta version of fireworks. Basically, there's code in the game that says if Mario is completely done with a level and the end of level routine is underway, then use a different sprite for the brick chunks. This is interesting because there's of course nowhere in the game where you could see brick chunks after you've already beaten a level. That's why we think this is some leftover code from an earlier point in development, and we have to use context clues to try and figure out why it's in here. We know it's something that was supposed to happen after you've beaten a level, and the brick breaking animation could kind of look like fireworks if you used a different sprite for it. Maybe they were going to repurpose the brick breaking function as their original method for making fireworks. Now, obviously, the white ball that replaces the brick chunks doesn't look like fireworks, but that's because the fireworks weren't fully implemented this way. The code just happens to point to the spot in memory where the white ball is now, but if they went through with this, they would have used a different sprite for it. Shoutouts to 3Creepio, who found this in the code and came up with this theory, and shared it with me. He also made a demonstration of what the fireworks could have looked like, using the fireball sprite. I then took it a little further and drew my own fireworks sprite, based on the ones that ended up in the final game. I think it looks pretty cool. Now, the really amazing part about all of this is that it's possible to see it in-game, with no hacks or cheats necessary. This is probably the first time this bit of code has ever been ran on console. Remember, to make this happen, we need Mario to be done with the level, and we need brick chunks to be on screen. There just so happens to be a breakable block near the flagpole as part of the castle. It happens to be possible to clip into the ground to break it, We can despawn the flag so that the change will happen immediately without having to wait for the flag to come down. And in most levels, the castle would be too far away from the flagpole. But on some stages, the castle is 1 block closer to the flag. And with perfect movement and everything else, we can get the special beta fireworks sprite to be on screen for 1 frame. It's barely possible, and it's so cool that it is. However, I wanted to figure out if there was any way to get it on screen for longer than that. So I looked to the sequel, Mario 2: The Lost Levels. Some castles are 1 additional block closer to the flagpole in that game, so we should be able to make it to the flag faster. I picked 6-1 to test this out on. It has the close castle. There's a lot of enemies on the stairs at the end, which should help despawn the flag. And there's wind that can help us clip into the ground. This is perfect. Or that's what I thought anyway. It turns out that this plant kept ruining everything in my attempts to despawn the flag. For this to work, I actually am going to have to bring 5 enemies in the ground with me. It's really tough to get that many in the ground. Make sure they don't turn each other around. Make sure they walk in the correct direction every time they wake up. Keep them all on screen. And having them all on screen means no other sprites will spawn in. You know, like the platforms you need to cross the giant pits in this stage. Oh boy. I was determined though, so here we go. There you have it. That was insane to pull off, but I did it. Also, you could see the white ball, maybe beta fireworks sprite thing for 6 glorious frames. Oh, also, it turns out you actually can just do it on the PAL version of SMB1, which has faster acceleration, and easily see it on screen for 7 frames. So, that's great. Well, that's it, guys. Incredibly few people knew about or had seen this before, but now you have seen it. Throughout this video, I hope you enjoyed my attempts to bring the craziest glitches in this game to life for you, and make them happen in every way possible. That's all for now, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.